So this is one of the houses that we're working on. Last time we were here, they didn't have this concrete and stuff up. That's pretty cool. It's bordered out, textured, colored. So they got a texture down there. Oh, the stone facade wasn't on here last time we were here either. So that's pretty cool to see that on. And then it looks like the windows came in because they were missing last time we were out here. These Andersen windows, there's a long lead time for the custom windows. So they didn't have those. So those are in. So now the rest of this will probably get trimmed out and then whatever board they're putting up there. It's pretty cool. All concrete cracks. Tiny bit. So at some point that'll probably have to be touched up. But as long as there's appropriate rebar in there, it'll be fine. Definitely a darker texture than what we've been stamping. Or darker color. More highlights. So we'll have to look into that. I'm just checking this out to see exactly how they did the mortar and everything. A lot of times siding will prep these areas out, but then they have an actual stone guy come through and do his thing. And then the other thing I'm looking for is just how I think these guys went about sloping everything out when they did the concrete, because that just gives me ideas, you know, as I'm practicing, and me and Aaron are practicing together how to do concrete. Again, we're not taking credit for this work that's been done here. This is not our house that we're running. And different trades have done the concrete, the stone, the siding, paint, all that stuff. So none of that's on us. This is actually the house that we're doing. Pretty massive deck on. Not huge, but it's a good sized deck. This is one of our nicer ones. We were responsible for the redesign on this, to resubmit for the permitting and everything. So they ended up pouring nice little stamped concrete pads down here to match the top, so that's cool. I wish they would have maybe did the border on these two. That'd be super cool. But what we're here for today is we were waiting for nicer weather. We're gonna get a little cleaner cut on these ends here, and we're gonna trim everything back even Stevens with one another, so that way we can do our end glue. So we're gonna glue pieces on here with 2P10 and then file the edges. And if we need to come back one more time with a little touch-up paint, that's fine, we can do that. But this is the one where we did the cable to the glass transitions. Again, we left this under flush on purpose so I could trim this back right here a little bit, and then I could put glue, and then I'll rasp or file the edges. So that's on me and Aaron, but that's our plan, is to put that there. Yeah, see those windows right there? They weren't here last time we were here, so this whole thing is about to have to get trimmed out. All glass. Prior to what we were doing here, this part of the deck had already gotten framed, and then this got altered. On the original drawings, it was only drawn up to here at the corner, and it was shorter here. So the homeowner wanted a little bit more room here, So we ended up with like 5 feet or something from here to here's what we gave it, and then minus where the post is at, right? So it's a little tiny bit less than 5 foot clearance, where before it came out to like the minimum 3 feet or something like that. So we brought it out 2 feet this way. We brought it out 4 feet that way. And this is from a railing company that I've dealt with in the past. They have multiple different options. You can see, right? Again, this is what we're here to do. We're here to glue these. We're going to do it on all the ends, right? So all these ends, we're going to glue a piece on there and clean it up. So that's really the main reason that we're here. Now that I'm looking at this stuff, we'll probably come back and do all this. Two-tone. This is the other thing we're going to do. We're going to wrap these right here with cedar. Just the very bottom, just to cover up any gaps like that, right? So, same thing over here. So we're going to do all these posts. And over here, I'm not really worried about that. If we absolutely had to, we could just caulk it with color match caulking prior to them doing the stain or whatever. All right, same thing here if we really had to. But you're supposed to leave gaps there no matter what, so it doesn't expand and cause problems later. But that's where we're at. Just to give you perspective, right? So again, this deck is our design. I had to redraw all this and redesign it a little bit in order to meet code and meet what the homeowner was talking about. You know, and like how you turn these corners. Right, I got this deck tension tied at the corner too. And this was just the easiest way to get my picture frame up there. And if you look, you can see the edge of tape. So this is all taped in, right? Everything's taped up there. You can see the tape right here, like it's all folded down around the edge. And I got this deck tension tie that goes, you know, holding this joist through a couple blocks, bam, connected to this block, tensioning the whole corner this way. And then we got these tension ties here. What I would prefer to do in the future is go one size up on the lumber, but I had to do what I had to do on this one. So that's what it is. And so we use these blocks right here, and actually these need to be touched up with some ingrain stuff, but these are what we connected our deck tension ties to get to the right height to get to top plate, because we have to be into something solid back there. So that's how we did that, right? You have to have those one on each end within 2 feet of the end, and then you have to be minimum 20 feet, but they like to see at least end mid-span, and then we always do a little bit extra, so we got 2 in the middle, even though it's less than 20 feet regardless. If I could have put one of those in the middle and been fine, right? So end within 2 feet, end within 2 feet, and then at least every 20 feet. So another one in the middle at least. Again, we overkill it. And then there's, on this one, again, this deck was already framed. So they did different stuff over here than I would normally do. Me, I would not use this strap like this, but that's me personally. If anything, I would have ran blocking, and I would have sprayed the rubberized foam or taped the top of that block line. Right? Because this is metal. It's not rigid, really. I don't know why they put that there. That's not on me. So that's not my fault. This is your what, DTT2Z is what this is, right? And it comes, and then you do all thread, washer, nut, and I call these butterflies. This one's the DTT1Z. These are nice for aftermarket situations, and you can use them in new construction. But again, you need to make sure that this washer head lag screw is connected to something solid back there. Minimum, you know, this is a wall inside there. Minimum, you want to be to a stud, but I don't even trust that. Like, I want to be into double top plate because I know that it's nailed really solid there between the nail down through the stud, the shear, and then I know that that's usually double top plate in there, and then there's rim or whatever sitting on top of that, you know, to build on top of. So that's me. I want to be into double top plate. So, right, same thing over here. See, switches direction, deck switches direction. So we got the DTT2Z here connecting the end, so this never separates from one another, right? And we still have our connections here, right? So within 2 feet of the end, right? Within 2 feet of the end or whatever. Or this one, within 2 feet of the end. And then it switches direction again. Right there. So I didn't put nothing through this one, and I could. But I'm not worried about it because the way that this hanger right here is going to hold pressure this way. Right? That's a positive connection. It's going to hold pressure coming this way. So it can't really pull right there. And then this is all one piece. And the way that this is all lagged together and locked down to the top of this beam's connected to this post. And then that beam's connected to this. So this is all kind of already locked in already. So I wasn't that worried about it. That being said, at the wall over here, it still needs your connection. So on this one, we had to go with Titan screws because we're into concrete right here. So we had to use Titan screws in order to get the deck tension ties on there, right? And the whole point of these deck tension ties is to keep things from separating from one another. So these nails right here are rated to hold the hanger this way, right? But those are only 1.5 inch nails. So you imagine if there was an earthquake or something, you know, it could pull this way. Those are 1.5 inch Tico nails, and those are approved for use with hangers and whatnot, right? And then the only other thing that would be holding tension is these couple toenails that go through. And yes, we use 3-inch framers on that because that's supposed to go through the hanger, through this board, and it's supposed to pop out right through the backside of that into the wood, right? And you can actually see the little diagram how this is actually supposed to be nailed. So if you use Simpson screws, then you, in theory, need to use the 3-inch long Simpson screws, and you need to use the 1.5 inch ones for here. Again, if I'm nailing to something that's wood back there, I would use a 3-inch nail anyways, right? But on this, I used an 1.5 inch Tico nail because I would have just bottomed out on the concrete anyways, right? Over there, I like to use 3-inch thick framers, right? You know, if you can get the, or I do 2.5 inch Tico with the 0.148 Tico nails. And then same thing here, we have either Titans or wedge anchors that hold this ledger up to the concrete foundation wall, right? And those are every so often. And then bam, this is a shorter span. So we're within 2 feet of the end, got a deck tension tie, and we're way less than 20 feet, and I still put one in the middle. See that? So again, overkill everything. And then these are the 1.5 inch Simpson screws you're allowed to use. They're galvanized. So everything's super locked in. You can see how I do my stair drops. No, that's not a situation. That one's different, but this is how this is locked in, right? There's A34s, A35s. I got blocks up back here also, so I can get positive nails through the side of the stringer into the what I call a pressure block. And then this ledger here is actually nailed or screwed through the back of the stringer, pre-attached to the stringers. Then we drag it up into place, and then we can get positive screws and lags through here into there. So now it's connected through the back of the stringer, through the side of the stringer, and then reinforced with these A34 hardwares, Simpson strong tie hardwares, right? So it's overkill. But again, when someone's paying this amount of money for a deck, regardless, you want your deck to be sturdy no matter what. But when someone is paying this amount of money for a deck, like, this deck was not cheap, you know. You still got other trades that come through here. That's not our fault. They got the whole situation dirty. But this deck is not cheap, and you overkill it when you frame it. I showed another video where this was super low, and you have to imagine multiple situations, right? Situation number one is people are going to sit out here. They're going to sit in a chair, and they're going to look at their rail. If your rail is going like this, and then all of a sudden it just goes, it's obvious that a bum built your deck. And so when we showed up here, someone else had framed our design, and it was crooked, and that end was way, way low. We had to crank it back up a little bit. And it's still a little bit low. There's still a little tiny bit from right here that cranks down a hair. But that being said, now we're straight. So when you're sitting on your deck, it's not crazy looking, right? And then people were like, oh, you just cut the post and you're just building Legos. No, dude. These are pre-engineered. So we send drawings to this company for this rail, and they're working off of our drawings. So our decks that we're doing need to be built to those specifications that were predetermined in order to make these rail systems work. Because what? I mess with the reveal here, 1.25 inches. So now this is shorter, 1.25 inches. And then this is full size. And then I got to sit there and mess with all that. No, dude, that doesn't make sense. That's just not the way the world works when you're building high-end materials. You're supposed to be trusting the people that you're working with to accomplish a task appropriately. And if you're not, then you're a bum. And I don't have any problem saying that. So that's what happened. That corner right there, from the post down here from here to here was down 1.25 inches. So no, it wasn't because they were trying to slope this. That's just not what it is. I don't know why people keep saying that. You guys are silly for that. I just got to put it out there. Yes, there's such thing as drain off, but no, this is not the situation to do that. Now, it is possible. It is possible that this footing sunk a little bit. It is possible, right? That being said, we jacked it up and put a new post in there, and it hasn't sank since. So the beam right here, for whatever reason, was curved down like that. Same thing here. This beam was curved down like that, right? So I don't know if it sunk, or I don't know if they were just being bums when they framed it. Again, that's what I said. And the reason that I said them dudes were bums is because I had to fix multiple of their stuff in the past. So they're already bums in my mind. So I just assumed it was their fault. So, and you know what they say about assuming, you know. That being said, you know, I'm going to assume anyways. Anyways, the point is, you can't just have the deck go, and then this, oh, just match it to the deck surface, and then that's just, right? These panels of glass all come in rectangles. You know, you're not ordering parallelograms unless you're going up a stair, right? So again, that's just silliness. When you're doing high-end decks, you expect high-end results. This deck could be slightly sloped this way, and I'm fine with that. But when you do that, you need to account for all that here. So this whole thing needs to actually be sloped down a hair. And if I did that, it would be a 1/4 inch from there to there. And it's just enough to move the water off the ledger. Then when I did my ledger flashing, I would do this corner first, and then uphill, 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 uphill. And that would keep the water on the ledger pushing out away from the house, yes. But you don't need to be hyper aggressive when the water is going to flow to the first crack in your deck and fall out. So everybody keeps talking about it's to keep the water away from your foundations. Okay, again, if you're on a fully waterproof deck, yes, you have to do a 1/4 inch per foot so you can get the water out. But on a deck like this is, what do they call it? A permeable surface, meaning water is going to fall through it. I don't need to be a 1/4 inch to move it from the ledger to the first crack. It's just, that don't make no sense. So that's my thoughts on that. I don't want to sound like I'm whining or nothing like that. It's just people keep saying that over and over and over. You cannot, when you're doing high-end homes, settle for subpar work, especially when you want your work to come out to be a showpiece. So I'm not sorry for calling anybody any bums, because they're bums. Why are you a bum? You're a bum because you messed something up and you let somebody else go fix it. That's why you're a bum. I make plenty of mistakes, I go back and fix it myself. That's why I'm not a bum. I would not have wanted to design with all this going on here. I'm not responsible for that. I had to match that a little bit over here because that's what the engineer wanted for this deck, because these posts and everything are so tall and it goes through the deck that they don't want anything to pull on anything over time. So they have sway control is what it is. And that's probably why that piece of hardware is down there. These. But I would have engineered it probably differently, although I'm not an engineer. So can't technically engineer anything, but I can design and I can have things approved by engineer.